All right. So one thing that I noticed at ADCC, it's really fucking hard to get into people's legs, especially when they're so good at playing the distance game. You watch guys like Kody Steele. I couldn't get it on his legs. Guys like Dorian Oliveras, I believe that's his last name. They're playing these kind of like loose games where they're running around, they're clubbing the head and running, like literally running 360s around their partner. And the distance that I'm keeping is completely preventing leg entanglements and connections. So it's a really good way to shut down the guard player at ADCC. And one thing that I saw, we're gonna look at it later on, not today, but another day, that Dorian was doing is he would go out to the J point and he'd club the head and trying to get this. Now, a lot of the time we get here, Ilya's reaction is to high leg and potentially even go for like Choi bars. And off of this reaction, boom, they're turning the corner and just continuously changing directions. And it's really hard to get in on the legs. Like the classic, like 2-on-1 pulling into Ashigarami, very, very difficult to do against these guys at this level, and they're aware of it. So what I was noticing a lot of these guys doing, you watch like Jacob Couch in the finals against Elder Cruz, he went to a clamp base guard, a closed guard, and then from there went into the K guard and entered the legs. Nicky Ryan against Kody Steele, to get a hold of him, used the knee shield. Okay, and what the knee shield does is it's a clamp-based guard where it puts a wedge behind the guy's legs, so it's harder for my partner to get away now. I have a frame behind him. Whereas if I played a butterfly half, my partner could anytime just stand up and start blitzing me. Okay, so if your opponent doesn't play that blitzy style pass and they want to come in with pressure, doesn't really matter because you can just out pummel them and elevate them. But these guys are so aware now that you can't really just get in and just elevate them. Okay, so again, PO showed at the seminar, he showed an Ashi entry from a knee shield. So let's just look at that right now. So let's say I pulled guard and got into the knee shield. So from the knee shield position, at least it's going to be harder for my partner to start backing away so easily. Okay, I'm connected to him. I have like a strong frame behind him. Okay, let's just turn this way. So I'm just going to have you down here. Okay, so from this position, what he was doing is he was getting an outside, like an overhook grip on the far leg. Okay, and you could just be playing 2-on-1s. Okay, he was playing this kind of fishing pole position, this cross arm drag grip. And then from here, it's a very strong position to just pummel your foot inside. So we might scoot away a little bit and then scoot back in once the butterfly hook is in. Now, this is a great position to just elevate Ilya over top of me. But a lot of people are aware of this. And so they resist this. They don't let me get that. So we can pull ourselves in and get this grip. You don't need to come forward. We'll show that in a sec. Basically, the transition here is I'm trying to load him up and he's resisting, right? So what I can do is I can go past that and scoop the inside of my own leg. This is really powerful because now if Ilya tries to sprawl back, he can't do it with this overhook grip. So it really locks him into position. Okay, let's move this way so you can see it again. So let's say I did manage to get to a knee shield. I pulled into a knee shield. From here, I'm just going to go in and try and grab this. If he lets me play from here, that's great. I can try and do that, right? I can load him up. This would be a good time to just scoop my butterfly hook in. So maybe I'm close to my partner. I can scoop back, pummel the hook in, and scoop back underneath. So as I'm trying to elevate him, he's not letting me do that. That's going to allow me to go in and get that overhook. So because if I go under, sprawl back, see, I lose that. I start to lose that positioning. But if you go over, you grab your own hamstring, he tries to sprawl, it's very, very powerful, right? And I'm always going to have this hand inside monitoring the distance. So this knee, for now, is on this side. Now all I need to do to load him up is to pull my knees to my chest. And then you're right into Ashi, right? So I really like this entry. I just pull my knees to my chest. So the other option would be, from the same setup, would be, let's say the guy's sitting back. So I can't just load him up now, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually off balance him and threaten a sweep. I'm going to post on the shoulder and put my right foot on the mat and just sort of extend him. Now, if he does nothing, this is kind of what Nicky did to Lucas, where he was inverting into like a straight Ashi. So from here, if Ilya does nothing, I just pin his hip to the floor. My knee will switch to the near hip, and I'll start posting up and threatening either a sweep We could post our head on the floor. If I notice that back leg is in position, we can back step, right? We can come in, start attacking ankle locks or just sweeping. So a lot of the time, the reaction you're going to get from this guy is he's going to try and come up again. So I can just, again, pull my knees to my chest and go into ashi, okay? So let's just look at it from this angle. So it's just a really basic knee shield entry into butterfly half and then into an ashigrami. So if I'm here like this, of course, just monitoring the distance, going to try and get my foot inside. And then I try and load him up. If it's not working, I just scoot in. And now I'm underneath this guy. So I can pull my knees to my chest. There's my ashi, right? When you elevate a guy too, if you need extra power, we're driving off this leg. So I push, pull, drive, and you're in, okay? And now from here, what I can do is if he's not, this guy realizes what I want. I want to go underneath, so he's hanging back. I can push off the floor and sort of knock him to the side. This scoop grip, when he tries to sprawl out of here, I'm connected very well. So now I feel him resist, and we can go in, okay? So for the sake of the class, we're just going to go right into the heel hook because you guys, this is very basic. We can flow right into the next technique. So let's just talk about what Nicky did. This was super cool. This is my interpretation of it. I'm not sure if this is what he would say, but let's say we get to ashi. Yeah, we could go on this leg. Okay, so we're here like this, and then Kody started standing up. Now, Kody started back stepping out of this ashigrami. So Nicky actually went to an X guard. He was just tracking this here, staying tight to him, okay? And then he scoots his hips underneath, and he created an off balance to the side. Now, when this happened, what he did was he looked to take a scoop grip on the heel, and he did something that I've never really thought about doing. Let's just turn this way. He decided to take this leg out and go to a mutual ashi. Well, it wasn't really mutual because this foot was on the inside, but he gave himself the outside position. Just stand up for me. He took his foot out of the inside and took it outside, which is really interesting, I thought, okay? So he tried to sweep Kody and knock him down to a hip. Kody came back up, and then on the way up, he threw the reap in, and as he reaped, he locked his legs. So this foot was on the outside, okay? It's basically an inside ashi, but kind of a mutual ashi because my leg is still exposed, but you can see I'm clearly in the dominant position. And then as Kody comes up, he's right in the heel hook. There's the dig, okay? And another thing that I thought was very interesting is what Nicky did was he opened his knee. So he placed a wedge against the hip of Kody. He didn't turn his hips down and try and roll through, which is what's very common and what I like to do a lot. Instead, he opened his knee. So now if Ilya tries to spin to hide his heel, that wedge is blocking his hip. This is very interesting for me. And again, if he commits to this foot, like if he tries to finish this foot, he's only exposing his heel more, right? So he could go for that foot, but it's kind of crazy for him to do. If my foot is in this position, I'm exposed to a toe hold. This would be a huge problem, okay? So it's very important here. You just point your toes down to the floor. So now when Ilya goes for a toe hold, not really there, right? And he's just exposing himself. So from here, Nicky just finished with a standard heel hook. He pushed the knees away, and he pulled the hands up towards his face and hipped into the knee. Okay, very, very beautiful technique. So let's go in again. We're in this ashi. Okay, just standard ashi, partner stands, and we go into this butterfly ashi. Partner's back stepping, so he scooted underneath and tried to get double trouble. He tried to control the secondary leg. From here, he's knocking him down, and he basically put himself almost in a mutual ashi. As Kody comes back up, he was threatening the heel hook dilemma with the sweep, which is really, really cool. From here, he just throws the leg in, and then to prevent the defensive roll, he opens his knee. You see that? So Ilya tries to roll a little bit. See how he's getting stopped? And then we can come in and start pulling the hands towards the face for the finish. So you can do this all kind of in one move. Knee shield, okay? We're always monitoring this arm. I'm going to try and pull this in, get my leg inside. So it's not working. I scoop inside. I'm underneath now in a tighter position. So if he tries to sprawl back, shouldn't be able to. We've seen how I can just pull my knees to my chest and load him up. If he's not coming forward, I'm going to have to push him backwards. I'm going to have to off balance him here. Of course, we could go underneath and load up the saddle from here. So most guys are aware of that. So as I push, I feel him push back. We're into ashi. He's going to stand up. We're going to go in, try and get double trouble. Okay, keep in mind, come back down. If his hands are on the floor and he's standing up, it's almost always available to grab this leg. Okay, this is where he stuck his leg, he's straight legs, and he just tries to put him down to a hip. So if he does nothing, come up and get the score. Okay, Kody comes up, Reap goes in, and we just immediately catch the dig. Right now, instead of facing down, open the knees. So when Ilya tries to turn, it's harder for him to do, and he's just eating this heel hook right here. So I'm just pulling up and opening my knee. Questions on that? So make sure you can get into Ashi from knee shield. I'll come around, check that out. And then after that, we can look at that. I'll come around and make sure that we can all hit that inside Ashi heel hook. Okay, questions? Let's go. Ready? 1, 2.